Welcome to Fox Valley in Focus. I'm your host, Barb Nadeau. On today's show, we're going to have three guests talking about three amazing projects to make a difference in the lives of others this holiday season and beyond. Our guests include Robin Stecklin. She is an officer with the North Aurora Police Department, Maddie Bozick for Maddie's Mitten March, and Kyle Wallace for the Franklin Mall Project. We'll get started right after this.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you again. You a good girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
take care.
We will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Officer Robin Stecklin is our first guest today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to talk to you because we're getting into the holiday season. You've got some great events coming up, and I also want to talk a little bit about, what the holidays mean for folks and things that are important in their lives this holiday season. First of all, you're going to have Santa come visit you very soon.
Yes, on December 1st at the police department.
December 1st? Okay. Tell me about that event.
It's from noon until 3 p.m. What we encourage is people with children to come in. They can visit with Santa. It's free for everyone. We kind of like that because not everyone can afford to go visit Santa and have pictures taken. People can bring their cell phones or cameras and take pictures of their children with Santa. We have a couple little activities, maybe coloring. We have a goodie bag. We serve light refreshments too. And just interact with the police, I think, is a good thing.
I like the date. It starts off the holiday season. It's early. Gives mom and dad a chance to maybe eavesdrop a little bit and find out what's on that Santa list. But I think it's really nice that it's at the police station, as you said. Will they have a lot of time to maybe see the vehicles, see officers there at the station as well?
They'll definitely see officers at the station. Maybe depending on the temperature, we could pull a squad up front, for the kids to go through if they wish. A lot of times we can't compete with Santa.
That's right. We all want to see the big guy. They like seeing the police officers. They like the uniforms, but you can't compete with Santa.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. And you were telling me early on, our next guest today on our show is going to be Maddie Bozick. She's a North Aurora resident, and she's going to have her Maddie's Mitten March coming to North Aurora.
Yes, she's a very impressive young lady. She started it in 5th grade. I'm sure you'll learn all about that. But at our event, our visit with Santa, we will be doing a coat drive to accept coats, gently used coats or new coats if someone wants to donate those. And they will also bring the bus that they use.
Okay, so they can actually bring coats to you, and that's going to be an interesting part of our discussion with Maddie to find out how she gets all the materials that she turns around and donates back to other people in the community. But that's a great thing, especially for parents. We know how fast kids grow. They grow out of a coat before you know it.
Right.
That's really nice. So that they can bring them there.
They can bring them there, and if they have coats before then and can't make it, they could bring them to my attention also.
Okay, what about hats, mittens, galoshes, any of those other things? Do they take those as well, or do they focus just on the winter coats?
The focus is on coats, but they do take hats, scarves, mittens, I believe, and I'm sure Maddie will fill you in.
Okay, that's good, that's good.
She started this in 5th grade. I'm really impressed with her. So.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice to have a hero right there from your own hometown.
Yep.
And I think that's probably one of the things that you deal with the public every day in your job, and just trying to work with them in good ways and bad. It's got to be pretty exciting when you see somebody, a young person like her, come along and do something incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people out there, doing good things for others around the holidays. So.
Talking about the holidays, before we went on the air today, you and I were talking briefly about the crisis intervention team and how that's something we had focused on in the past, but you wanted to give a reminder to folks.
Just around the holidays, there are more people in crisis, obviously. So we encourage people to reach out to their friends, families. If they need help, call the police, call whoever you need to get the help that you do need.
Your team also focuses a little bit on people of special needs too, because there are special needs that people have.
Yes.
But can you explain that a little bit?
Just with certain developmental disabilities, they may need police to respond in a certain way. So we want to make it an easier interaction for the people. So they can sign up through our website or call us, and we can come out and see what type of needs they or their child might need. So in case of an emergency, how we can interact better with them.
We know nowadays there's so many more children with autism or one of the autism spectrum disorders, but there's also people who might be blind or deaf or have another medical condition that could just need a little bit of help, and you don't want that to turn into a crisis. Is that right?
That's correct, and we try to find resources and help them out in any way we can.
I'm glad you mentioned it. How are people responding so far? Are you really, are they picking up on this, or are you still hoping that more people will reach out?
We're hoping more people reach out. Sometimes, there's just a lack, they don't really understand it, so we can talk and no one's forced to join it or to give us any information. Our goal is just to help the people in need.
And I think sometimes people don't know, so hopefully the people watching the show will tell their neighbors and friends that this is something that's available. And how do they sign up with that again?
Just call the police department. They can have an officer come out and talk to them, or they can come in and talk to us if they feel more comfortable. Our goal is to make it as easy and as comfortable for them, so it works in our benefit as well as their benefit to help us interact with
Then that information, does that become part of a database? So if they are called to a situation and they recognize an individual?
Yes, it might give pointers, like if they don't like lights or sirens, just something to make it easier for them to work with us and talk to us, communicate with us. That's kind of the goal, is to have good communication.
So it gives you an opportunity to actually come to a resolution instead of something escalating.
Definitely.
Maybe a little bit better, a better result maybe?
A better outcome, and maybe some follow-up with the family too after a crisis.
That's an amazing service, and I'm so glad you talked to us about that. So Robin, are there any other safety tips or things that you can offer our viewers on staying safe during this holiday season?
Yes, locking their doors, keeping gifts or their purchases hidden either in the trunk or take them home and get them out of the vehicles right away. Also, a lot of people get distracted and are still on their cell phones a lot, so they're not really paying attention if people are watching them or what's going on around them.
Oh, that's interesting, because we always talk about people being distracted when they're driving, but it's not just being distracted when you're driving, it's actually not being aware of what's going on around you.
Anything can happen, so just be more cognizant of their surroundings instead of being on their phones.
Good advice. How about their homes? Any advice?
Pretty much the same thing with that. Don't make yourself a target. Have lights on. Look like you're living there. If you go on vacation, have someone maybe turn on the lights, get the timers, those type of things.
Okay, and again, you can contact North Aurora Police because they're there to help. And Robin, it's always great to have you on our show. Thank you so much for all those tips and also for telling us about the visit with Santa.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more right after this.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you
See you
again.
soon.
You a good girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
Take care.
we will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Maddie Bozick joins us now. She's the founder of Maddie's Mitten March. And thank you so much, Maddie, for being here. I am so excited to meet you.
Thank you.
This is an incredible story, and I'm hoping that you will tell it to us because from what I understand, you started as a very young girl with this project to collect mittens. Can you tell us a little bit about what motivated you and how you got started?
Yeah, I was in 5th grade and I felt like doing something to help the community, and I talked to my parents about what things we could do. We thought a lot of people do food pantries, things like that. So I figured I want to try something different, something that people don't have as much easy access to. So I figured winter clothing is something that someone always needs, and just kids grow out of it fast, so there's always going to be a need for more. So it started out as a 1-year coat drive and then distribution. I went through my neighborhood, distributed flyers, and said I'll be back on a certain day, so if you could leave something on your porch, that'd be great. So I collected it, got everything cleaned by a cleaners, and redistributed it throughout my community to churches and schools and food pantries. I ended up having so much fun with it. I did it the next year and the next year, and now here I am. I actually own 2 buses now, and
my gosh.
we converted them so they have shelves and racks in them. We took out all the seats, and now we primarily work with food pantries, but we will also work with schools, anyone that really needs us. And when people are distributing food, at the same time, people can come on the bus and get winter clothing, and they get to pick and choose from wherever they want.
Well, this is really interesting. So what was it that motivated you to get started? Do you remember back to being 10 years old? What was it that sparked in your heart or in your brain that said this needs to be, that I need to do something?
Nothing specific. I just really like helping people and making a difference.
Well, it is an incredible story that you've done this, and throughout it all, you started that first year, and as you said, you had a lot of fun. Did you take note of how many coats and how many items that you collected that first year?
I don't remember the exact number, but I do know our living room was full for quite some time.
Oh, your parents are very kind.
Yeah.
And now, what are you seeing as far as donations and in and out of these vehicles?
Much bigger. I would have never expected to be what it is today. If you told me that 10 years ago, we just have stacks and stacks of donations. Stacks are taller than my head. Our buses are loaded, and it's just trying to get as much as we can.
Now you went from just being one little girl with some, copied flyers throughout your neighborhood to now having a bus, and you had to become a 501c3. Now tell me a little bit about that. Why did you choose to do this, and was that a difficult thing for you?
At the point where just like, if we're going to do this, might as well go all the way. My dad helps me a lot with the paperwork because I don't entirely understand it, so he does a lot of the paperwork for me. Sign the papers for the state that says I'm a 501c3, so now anyone that donates something, it can be tax deductible.
Okay, so it helps people to donate to you, and it helps your foundation grow, really. And so I knew you had one bus, but I just heard you say you have 2 buses. So obviously people are donating money to help the cause and helping you fund the vehicles, but that's a huge investment.
Yeah, we do various fundraisers and apply for grants to hopefully get as much funds for the buses as possible.
So tell me a little bit about walking into the bus. How are those coats and winter apparel items, organized? Is it like going into a little shopping scenario, or do you have assistants to help you?
Yeah.
Are they on racks or are they in boxes? What do you do?
So when you walk in, pretty much it's like a regular bus at first, and then you have the first 2 rows of seats we left in, so when we're moving the bus around, people can still ride in and have space. And then when you turn, it's actually on the left side, all the way down to the end of the bus. We have a coat rack with 2 levels. We keep kids' coats on bottoms and the adults on top. And then people can pick from any of those. And on the right side, you have 2 shelves that we just put storage containers on when we're moving the bus around. And then when it's time to do a distribution, we take everything out of the storage containers, put them underneath, and then lay all the gloves, hats, and scarves out, and boots, so people can pick for them.
That's really nice. So you're not just handing someone a coat, you're giving them the opportunity to choose the coat that they want.
For kids, I think it's important that a kid doesn't want just any random hand-me-down coat. You don't want to give a boy a pink coat if that's not what they want. They should get the opportunity to choose what they want and
if
wear to
they have
school.
a choice of an old brown jacket or one that's got Spider-Man on it, they're going to choose the one that speaks to them,
Yeah.
right? And so that's really a kindness that, you know, might get overlooked, but it really does make a difference to a person, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, down to whether or not they pick out the purple boots or the pink flowered boots, right?
Yeah.
That's really, really sweet. And now you said you're going to be at several different locations and that you're working with drives that are going on. Is this just a holiday or a winter time thing, or how long of a season do you have?
This has become a full year-round project. We do collections all throughout the year at various locations. You can drop off at the Roselle Fire Department, North Aurora Fire Department, North Aurora Police Department, and Raimundo's in North Aurora. And so we collect year-round, but distributions pretty much start around the October, and we do about roughly 2 a month. We've been doing more lately as we've grown, and then we do that all the way through February as distributions.
That's nice. Yeah, a lot of people do giving right now, and come January and February when it's really cold, people are still in need. So it's nice that you keep that going. Do you have some locations coming up in December and January?
Yes, I know we're going to Plano very soon. We also go to Marie Wilkinson Food Pantry a lot. They have one location in Aurora on Highland, and also at East Aurora High School they have another location.
Okay, so you know where to go, you know where people are in need. And now for us who are listening to you talk about this, how do we reach out to you? We can make financial donations. Are you available? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page?
Yes. There are phone numbers you can reach us at. We also have a website, but the best mode of contact for us is our Facebook page, Maddie's Mitten March. That's where the most updated stuff is. We respond with messages within the day or so.
So if anyone has any question at all, they can just reach out to you personally and get the attention that they
Absolutely.
need for their question to be answered. That's really wonderful. You know, this is something different. Not every 5th grader jumps into something like this. Not every high schooler. And now I understand you're going to college. And what are your plans for the future?
Try to get as many volunteers as possible and see where it goes.
Okay, okay. And personal plans, you're going to be just continuing with your education and going forward. So the world is your oyster, so to speak. I mean, you could do anything, but you've made such a good foundation for your life, and I think that's phenomenal. You mentioned volunteers. How many volunteers do you have, and what kind of volunteer needs do you have?
Honestly, it varies. A lot of the time it's my family on the bus. We would love to get more volunteers on the bus to help us do distributions. Oftentimes we do need someone who can translate Spanish for us because no one in my family can, because there's not a lot of people that do speak English with the areas we go to. And sorting coats. When we get donations, they all come in one bag. I would need help sorting those, getting hats and gloves washed as well.
Okay, and again, you know, cleaning everything and making it ready because you want to give a good donation to somebody. That's a huge part of the operation, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something. Well, so if people want to volunteer, they could just mention that or message you when they go on your Facebook page, and that's the best way to get started.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then if we have viewers in our communities who would like to have your bus show up, they can do that too. You'd be willing to take new.
Yep, just message us. We'll go usually wherever we're needed.
Okay, what do your buses look like? So when we see them, we can maybe stop and maybe even give a donation.
Yeah, our original bus, the very first bus we have, is painted all white, and it actually has Maddie's Mitten March on the side. And actually on the end it has kind of like our little slogan, providing winter clothes for those in need. And then we actually have a second bus now that is currently yellow but in the process of getting painted white.
Okay, so look for the Maddie's Mitten March white buses in your community. And Maddie, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you
Good
for having
luck.
me.
Okay, we'll take a short break. We'll be back with more, We'll be back with more right after this.
Caring for a family member can be challenging and lead to countless questions for them and for you. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs. but only gets paid for one. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
And rounding out our show today is Kyle Wallace. He's here representing the Sandwich Lions Club, and he's a founding member, or he's a member of the founding family of the Franklin Mall Project. And Kyle, thank you so much for being here.
That's okay, Bev.
I always enjoy this show, starting out our holiday giving season. I always think it's my favorite show because of the wonderful stories. And we've heard some wonderful stories here today already, but we couldn't have the show without talking about your grandfather and this holiday program that you have in Sandwich, Illinois. Thanks for coming, and tell us a little bit about this year's project.
Well, this is it's called the Franklin Mall Project. Franklin Mall is my grandfather, who back in the 50s actually worked for Oban Brothers Dairy. And he would drive from dairy farm to dairy farm, and he would get a little bit of money for gas, and he would save that money throughout the year, and towards Christmas he would buy groceries for people that he knew were in need, and he would spend that gas money on groceries and take it to the needy. And they kind of grew. He did that all by himself. And my grandma too went, and he would dress up as Santa, and she would be the helper. And that was in the early 50s. And in the 60s, he was also a Lion member. He was a founding Sandwich Lions Club member. He chartered the Sandwich Lions Club in I'm not sure what year, but it was when he gave it he needed help, and my dad helped for a while, and then my dad went to the Lions Club and asked them if they would help because it got so big, and they took it on, and it has grown to what it is now. We're over 250 families.
Really?
Yeah.
250
boxes of groceries go out in.
And how many volunteers do you have packing those groceries?
Well, we have a lot of volunteers, both that donate that gather the donations and help pack them that night, because there's a lot of cans. It gets heavy, so we got some volunteers that come and just help pack, or maybe they'll help just deliver. So it's a big deal, and there are two segments to this project, because we split it in half. We have one segment that just does groceries, and then another project, they're called cheer baskets, where we pack cookies in a container and take it to all the nursing homes and the hospitals and the senior center and deliver them on Christmas Eve with Santa, dressed with Santa Claus, just to help cheer them up that night, because nobody wants to be themselves on Christmas Eve. It's a nice gesture, and it really does. You see a smile on your face and tears. It's really amazing.
Just to think about going from one man and his wife,
yes,
to a family, to having to meet the needs, because once you find out you have that many families, of course you're going to respond. 250 families, and then the countless number of people that are putting a can of beans or a couple bucks into a donation. That is a huge amount of people involved in this project in Sandwich, Illinois.
Yes, and we've also got the schools became involved it was a while ago, but they actually have competitions between classes, and it really helps out the donation process, and they help out a lot in packing too, because the seniors, if they don't have to have tests that day, or they'll come and help carry everything from the schools, actually put it in the school bus and drive it to the fire stations where we keep everything in Sandwich. And they help sort out beans and corn, and that's a lot of work. It is a huge amount of
just getting
cans.
Everything ready. Then once you divide it up,
yes,
then you have to box it up.
Then you have to box it up. You put so many cans in, and this year we have actually a can of ham that was donated, and each box will now get a small can of ham, along with other cans of food and other non-perishable items like, you know, noodles and ramen noodles and stuff like that. Yeah, it's in a regular box. And we have people that help deliver the next day. That's what they'd like to do, is just deliver. And it's a fun project. There's a lot of work though.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
We couldn't get it done without some volunteers.
Okay, so you were telling me, and I hope you'll tell me again because I've forgotten, what are the dates if people want to volunteer for the pack up for the groceries?
Sure.
And then the delivery of the groceries?
Yeah, the groceries are packed on December 20th at the fire station in Sandwich there. That's where we actually put the groceries in the boxes themselves. And they are delivered on December 22nd from the fire station to addresses that we have obtained.
Okay.
And
then if you wanted to get involved with the cheer, the little cheer baskets
Yes.
or plates of cookies and treats.
right. Well, we asked the public to bring in homemade candies and cookies to the United Church of Sandwich, and the packing of those will be on the Friday, December 21st at 6 o'clock. And what we'll do, we'll take a container and we'll go through and actually make about 350 of those small little cheer baskets that get delivered throughout the city.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Santa has to do that. So we
Yes.
wouldn't be able to help with that delivery, but we could help with making the treats
Yes.
to bring you.
Yes.
Now, if people want to make cash donations, how do they do that?
Well, there's several ways. The Sandwich, I would say the Sandwich Bank, but it's now it's Castle Bank. Now it's whatever bank it is. It will take. There's a lady in there that will take their money.
And they take it right under the
Yes.
name of Franklin Mall?
Franklin Mall Project, yes.
So you can just go right in there and
Right.
say, I want to give to Franklin Mall.
Yes, and I got the name of the chairman this year is Karen Spangler, and she's got a phone number is 815-786-2189, or Michelle Farley is 815-786-8086. Those two people will also take donations from them.
Okay,
And
and
you
that's
can get
good because
information
they can
too.
actually help us with more information on when to show up to be
Yes.
volunteers.
Yes, exactly. And I am the chairman of the cheer basket side, and my number is 815-304-3175. And any questions or comments, I'll answer any question they have.
I'm guessing this is one of the larger projects of your Lions Club.
Yes, it is. It takes a lot of effort. Yes, it does. 'Cause we got 22 sites around the city of Sandwich that, and I got all the sites. We go from, well, the churches, the Sandwich Manors, the libraries,
Oh, these are sites where people can go and drop actual food items.
canned items. We'll have a
Okay.
red tub there, it says Franklin Mall Christmas Project, and that's where you can donate. And even Plano Molding gets involved. They have a little contest where they have a tremendous amount of canned goods that they bring over.
Fantastic.
So,
So
yeah.
get your groceries that you're going to donate, put them in your car. Wherever you're going, you're going to see one of those red
Right,
bins.
yep.
And when you get to the bank, make sure you ask for the Franklin Mall Project.
Exactly.
And you'll be set. Kyle, this is just such a wonderful story. And I want to thank you so much for being here on our show today.
Thank you.
And that's going to be it for today's show. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.